All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Kandarp Bhatt is going to be telling us how to take our freelancing to the next level with ExpressionEngine agencies. So give a good warm welcome to Kandarp.
So good morning to all the way from India, right? So I was wondering when I came here in this morning session, and I was seeing that a lot of people are here, and it was like I was thinking, is the speaker is kind of well dressed and kind of cool? That's people coming here, or is it the breakfast thing that even people wanted to get that done first and then wanted to come here? But or maybe it's a Friday thing, right? That you wanted to get everything done immediately, in early in the morning, and then go out and go ready for the weekends. But truly speaking, I think it's the organizers of this event who has made it so convenient for all of us, so that we can probably match the schedule and everything. And apart from that, I think a lot of people that I met over the dinner and the breakfast here, and everybody was like, people from Minneapolis trying to make yourself, very comfortable. City away from city is like, kind of a feeling that we are getting. So I think I must appreciate those fact that actually, we as a speaker also help as well. Anyways, so my topic for today's presentation is, yeah, taking freelancing to the next level and starting your own ExpressionEngine. So that is I would like to start with the story behind that. And it's like, once upon a time, that's what we tell to our kids, and they lean towards you and, try to understand, and you feel like there is something coming along. So like back in 2003, when I started like my career with, I was very kid to the new professional world. I started my career in 2001, worked for a company for almost 1.5 years, being a PHP programmer, and I got a chance to work with some really good projects, which could probably, ideally, an intern would like to work upon, to learn the things from the experienced people who are going to lead you. So unfortunately, the leader who was hired as an external consultant for that particular project has to leave that particular project in between, and all responsibility came to the entire team. And that was the time kind of you kind of feel like, I don't want to get into this, and all the responsibility would come on my side. I was a very young kid and kind of thing. And that was an opportunity for me to impress my boss as well. Like everything is fine, we can probably handle it, and probably we will not be at a loss. And it was like in my favor that probably I got a really positive response from my boss, and I got a chance to get a direct client communication, managing certain different department people, because there was no project manager involved and kind of thing. So that experience was really good, and then there was some change happen in my life as well. I had to take maybe 3 to 6 months of break and leave the job that I was doing. And then again, when the situation changed after 6 months, I had an option whether to work for a different company now, or take another job, or continue to do the freelancing. So out of that, probably, so my job which I was doing was not at all available. So instead of finding a new job, I decided to start freelancing myself. And so I started my freelancing for at least 1 year. I was alone who was doing everything like a typical freelancer would do, doing in sales activity, making sure that designs are in line. I'm a little bit good at design side as well, but I was trying to use some ready-made templates and all. And then you do the front end and back end work, and then probably quality check and the delivery. So these are the different phases for the project. So I did that for at least 1 year. And then I decided I can probably not handle everything myself. And then the journey started. So, oops. So before I go into this presentation, I wanted to present some of the statistics which I have collected over the last 17 years, and meeting people in the networking events and all. And to our surprise, there are more number of freelancers who exist in this world who works more than 8 hours a day compared to any CXOs or CEO. So we decided to choose a freelancing career because we wanted to work ourselves. We wanted to, have time, freedom, and everything. But on an average, if you find that, and if you talk to any freelancers, probably they might be, even working on the weekends, on a Friday, like Saturdays and everything as well. So that is one reason that I found. Other is that 7 out of 10 freelancers usually laughs, cries, or sweats when their husband, wife, or friend asks them to take a vacation. And it's not only, to say yes to the vacation, but when they are in a vacation, they find their clients sending their email needing an urgent support and all, and that's where probably the problem starts. And they are even not able to enjoy the vacation to the full. And then probably the whole purpose of going on a vacation doesn't serve at all. 70% of the successful freelancers have to turn down the opportunities that come to them in an entire year, like 3 to 4 times. Because you are really good at what you are doing, right? Probably people wanted to do you more work. And you decided a freelancing career because you wanted it to be your way. So sometimes even you wanted to say yes to the client, they have events or something like that, some urgent deadlines. You can't do it because you are the only person that individually working on it. You can't work more than 10 hours, 15 hours, right? So most of the time you find yourself, you are willing to help your client, right? Because they have helped you in past paying your bills. But you can't do it because that's your own limitation. 80% of the individual thinks that nobody else can do the work that I can do, right? And there are around 20 million people who are individually totally self-employed in the US. And this is from the study from the Freelancer Union study. And if that was the true story, every people entire in this room who are individual freelancers, and they can do the job themselves, the best, right? So everybody of us thinks that I can do the job best and nobody else can. But that's actually myth. It's just that you pick up the right combination, right team players, and then probably collaboratively you all can work together. Obviously, there are some difference of opinion that you will always find while working within the team, but it's something that you can justify yourself and convince people probably they adapt to the ideas as well. So having said that, I have taken some assumptions that the audience in this room has some sort of like 1 or 2 years of experience being a freelancer in the industry. So that is the first assumption that I have taken. The second one is that you have burning desire to scale your agency. So if you think that I'm a freelancer, I wanted to be a freelancer, I think this is not going to help you guys, this particular session, because you should have like a desire to scale this up. Whether you wanted to, what business model you wanted to implement, we are going to discuss later on. But you wanted to see yourself somewhere else than what you are right now. Then you like to be a team player as well. A lot of people think that I am good alone. I don't gel with people. I have my own working style and all. But if you wanted to work in a team, probably you need to adjust to listen to the idea. You have to be open to somebody else's thought process as well. So I assume that you guys are also a good team player. You will keep your ethics while you are growing. It is very typical with most of the agency owners that I have found that they started with some basic ethics that they wanted to carry and build their team from, and then probably eventually when they grow, they try to compromise on certain things because that's the way they can move forward. But it is assumed that we are able to keep that ethics that we had when we started the agency. and you wanted to grow this agency using the Expression Engine, and more importantly, you wanted to give back to the agency, like community as well. So let's say it is my own story. 10 years back when we started with Expression Engine, we have got a really good revenue, a streamlined revenue, which allows us to grow from where we were. And today, if we are getting benefited, we are more than happy to contribute to the community by the means that we can have some free add-ons in the market, or something that we might have built, something is useful to somebody. So that kind of a contribution that I'm talking about. So saying this, I think there are two great days in any person's life. One when we are born, and one when we discover why. And this is the really good quote, because most of the time that I've found, even myself, is that when we actually get to the why, we might have wasted the time, right? So why am I doing this? And you discover it, and then you decided that, oh, I should have not done this before, right? So if we are able to discover why at all I'm doing this right now, and that is even before you are doing, probably that's the best way for any person to move forward in their professional or personal life. So let's try and define why you should start your own agency and not continue to do the freelancing work. So that's why. So I have 8 different reasons why one should start doing it. One is a heavy workload, more than 8 hours on an average day, as we saw in the statistics. You are spending more than 8 hours in a day. You are compromising with your health. You are compromising with your relationship, or you are compromising somewhere with your own hobbies or maybe interest that you might have. So if that is the case, that you find in your daily life that you are working more than 8 hours, one of the reasons why you should do the agency, like you should go for an agency life, is this. Another is that freelancer business is scaling, client remains the same. So as an individual, probably you can have 2 or 3 or 4 clients that you can support on a regular basis, and your client list doesn't change at all, which means that you are scaling your business based on what your clients are scaling them. So it's very dependent. And again, if one day that particular client business that goes out of, they are out of business, probably you have to find new people. But that is, again, you are not adding the number of clients, it's just you are trying to replace the clients, right? So if the client list or the quantity remains the same, I would say probably that is another reason why an agency life is much better than the freelancing one. You are already collaborating with other freelancers. So there are few individual freelancers who take part of this kind of a networking event, try to understand what others are doing good, and then probably they try to understand their strength and they collaborate on certain projects. But if you are doing this on a regular basis, which means that you already have a really good amount of work that you get from the market, and probably even if you start your own agency and if you have to employ somebody and you have to take care of those fixed bills, probably you can do it. Why? Because you are already working as in collaboration. And I'm not saying that you stop doing this, but for any future expansion, probably you can think about having people employed in your organization as well. Your availability is about to change. So maybe somebody is becoming a father or mother, and they see themselves, getting more occupied with their personal life. Or maybe touch wood, but if there are some health issue where you might have to take a break from the work, and probably you need to focus on your health side. So in this kind of situation, probably you still need to pay your bills, right? So if you have an agency, if you have people who can take care of that, maybe your senior people, your co-founders, or anybody who can take and run the business, you are still able to pay your bills. So probably that if that is going to happen, probably you can start thinking about starting an agency as well. Your client wants more, means they want you to work on multiple projects for them, or maybe because you have done a really good job, they refer to their friends and the family, and then they wanted you to help them as well. So that is the reason that probably is good to start an agency. You are really good at team management. So many times I found that people are really good, not only individual good designer or coder, but they are good at the people management as well. And that is something which is very unique. Not everybody has this kind of I haven't found that everybody is very good at retaining the people, managing the relationship, making sure that they are all satisfied and have good, resolving the conflict within the projects. It's a different kind of skills. If you think that it is there, probably the agency life is something you should try for. And you really love the marketing side of your business, because most of the time you find the agency owners, they are seeing themselves into the business development side of it. So probably if you enjoy doing that, that is also a good reason for doing it. And to work with the established agencies. So let's say you being a good freelancers, probably you work with a small other agencies, which is like around 5 or 10 people. But if you wanted to work for an agency which is more than 100 people, if you want to work for them, probably they want you to be an agency rather than an individual freelancers. Why? Because when they subcontract, obviously the larger agency would be into the mid or large scale clients, and they might have like tight deadlines or something like, they need a more number of people that to work on the project, and they do not want to outsource to an individual contractor or freelancer, but they wanted to work with an agency who is also equally accountable for the projects that they take on. So having said that, these are the reasons why we should do it, but there are some pros and some cons as well, being an agency owner versus the remaining of freelancers. So let's look at some of the pros, which is that you have a team and you can support and maintain the multiple clients. So now if I decide to become an agency owner, I can probably have maybe 10, 15, 30 clients, and I can assign a more number of people to, like I have one person can handle 5 clients and kind of thing. So that's one thing. Another thing is that delegate the work that you do the best and minimize your weaknesses. So as a freelancer, you have nobody to work. You are the one who does everything. But you yourself know that this is something which you have to do it. That's why you are doing, but you are not good at that. So if you have an agency, probably in your project, you have the right people to do the right thing on the right time, right? So and you can probably delegate those responsibilities which you are not good at. So that's another benefit of being an agency owner. And again, you can play with your strengths, because I'm not wasting my time into something which I'm not good at. Probably I will be investing my time into something which I'm really good at. So probably that way my clients would be benefited more, or my team would be benefited based on that fact as well. If you go with the cons, I think you have to recruit, attract, and hire the team. So this was not the pain that you had being a freelancer. Obviously, you can hire external consulting agencies to do the hiring for you, but at the end, you need to finally interview them, and you need to make sure that they remain with the organization and continue to support your clients as well. Apart from that, you have to trust the work that others do, which is very high. And initially I said, everybody thinks that I am the best, but it's very, very difficult to trust. But like I said, there are processes that you can always define to make sure that before you trust somebody, you have some sort of filtering process that you can set up. Whether you wanted to trust them technically, whether you wanted to trust them as a team player, or whether you wanted to trust them as a workmanship kind of thing, there are ways that you can always test them. But once that is done, probably I think you can always rely on others' work as well. Being an agency owner, sometimes you find that you are doing something which you don't want to do, right? And but that's sometimes a kind of a fun as well. It depends on the individuals. Like, but few people take it like, being an agency owner, I have recruit people, I'm paying these people for doing this job, and now I have to do this job just because I wanted to make client happy, right? So these are the thing that comes to you. But if this comes to you more often in your daily routine, probably there is a hiring mistake, so that should be corrected. But if it happens occasionally, probably it's not that big problem. Like being an agency owner, it's a team, and team means a responsibility. Right now, probably you are responsible for paying your own bills. Once you start your agency, probably people are relying on the monthly salary that they are going to get from you, and you are going to take care of, indirectly, you are going to take care of their bills as well, which means you are necessarily or unnecessarily taking a more responsibility as well, which is a negative side of being an agency owner. But this is something where if you do a calculated risk, and you can, rather than playing to your guts, you play to some of the statistics. If you are detailed oriented, if you work out everything, probably that's not a big problem as well. And the good thing is that you get the paid last. So in my entire career of 17 years, I have found myself, not taking a salary for 3 months, 6 months, and making sure that we pay the bills and the salary for the staff as well. But this is another thing that you should be prepared if you wanted to be an agency owner. So after knowing pros and cons, obviously there are no more number of cons being an agency owner, but they have a turnaround. That's why probably I would not be much worried about it. It's just that I want people to be prepared for this, because this is going to remain there for the entire agency owner life. But I think you can always try to work out it. So having said that, I believe that we all here who as an individual freelancers have made our mind that we wanted to be agency owner somewhere down the line. And if we have discovered why I wanted to be an agency owner, what should be the next step? So what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to create a kind of a situation where you are now an agency owner, and there are different stages that you will see as an agency owner's life, and what are the things that you should be doing based on my experience in the last 17 years. So there are various stages, like I said. So it starts with the legal aspect. Being a freelancer, probably it's good to have, maybe you get a payment or checks and something like that based on your own personal name and kind of thing. You don't have any agency name, it's just your own brand. That's fine. But if you're thinking about the agency, you first start thinking about the name. And it's very amazing nowadays, a lot of startups that coming on, and when I ask them that what's the reason behind having this kind of an agency name or brand name or something, and they don't have any long-term vision behind it. But what I personally feel is that when you select an agency name, it should represent something to your client. And not only that, because you are talking about adding more people, you are trying to create the culture in the organization, probably your agency name should tell about it. So for an example, my company name is Zealous Web. So when I started this business, my friends and relatives always saying that you are very enthusiastic about doing whatever you are doing. So, and what I want is that maybe 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, I want my client to think that every new assignment to give to us, we will have the same enthusiasm that we had on the first day. Or maybe we are in the ever-changing technology world, and every 1 year, 2 years, there is a new framework that comes out, and I want my team player to be having a same level of enthusiasm that they had when they joined my company as an intern. So I decided to have something around zeal, which is like an enthusiasm, and then zealous, and then I connected web to tell people that we are into the web industry. So just like give it a thought to it, and if you can connect it, it's fine. If not, probably you can have any name that you like. Then it comes to this, what kind of agency type that you wanted to build. So there are n number of, like there are 4 or 5 different types of agency that you can build to start, but initially you should be keeping your administrative cost as minimum as possible. So probably sole proprietorship or LLC or S or C Corp is the way to go. I think the best way to do it, being a freelancer, now this is a transition mode for you. You have done everything for yourself in your life, whether it's in everything. So probably you will leaning towards, I can do some Google research, read some articles, know the process, and I can I can create the agency by my own. But I would rather recommend to hire a CPA doing this for you, because you don't know. Right now, maybe 1 year down the line, you know the roadmap for your company, but you don't know how to maybe save the cost, how to make sure that you are compliant with every employment aspect and everything. So probably hiring a CPA is a good choice. Apart from this, next point comes is a co-founder. And this is, I think, the most important thing in anybody's agency's life. So I've seen many business owners that remains at the same team size, like 40, 50, or maybe 70 back in India. Maybe here it could be a 15 or 20 people. And the only reason that I found is that they don't have somebody who is either equal or maybe minor partner in the firm, which means that everything that comes to for the agency is come on only the shoulder of one person. If you have a co-founder for your company from the beginning itself, probably you can have, you can have an all discussion about sharing the responsibility and all, and probably you can work in an individual direction, and probably you have somebody who is actually having some sort of a feeling that they also have an ownership in the company. So when you select the founder, probably I would recommend that replace your weakness rather than complementing your strength. Which means that usually when two people together, they talk about the same subject and they see that we both like to work the same way, but that is on the same thing, then probably you are not you are not actually adding any value. You are just doubling the skills, but you are not adding different kind of a value. So what I would suggest is that if you are a programmer, find a co-founder who is a designer. Or maybe if you are a good salesperson, go for somebody who is a technical person. That way, probably for the entire life, you will be dependent on each other. I've seen that a lot of agencies that has been formed and have not last for even 1 year or 2 years. Because it's like a relationship in our life. You need to find some sort of dependency on the other partner. So I would say, when you do a selection for the co-founder, try and replace your own weaknesses so that probably every time in your life, you actually have an importance of the other person that we are working with. Another is the same level of drive and motivation, which means that somebody who is very clear what they want to do maybe in 5 years or 10 years of life. It's not something like you are getting into the venture where you are taking a more headache, taking care of more bills and kind of thing, trying to earn more money. So make sure that they have the similar desire and drive to be with you for a longer period as well. And discuss their work circumstances. For an example, you have to decide all the things into written that probably this is what we are going to do if the things doesn't work out the way we want it to be. So you should ideally be talking about these adverse situations as well. That way probably you can, even if you are departing with let's say, a smile. And that is the most important thing in our business life. Going to next, I think you will be thinking about an office, which is again a huge cost nowadays in the United States. So when you think about the offices, you don't want to change your location too many times. Probably think about expansion. If you are wanting to start your agency with 5 people, think about you should be able to accommodate around 15 people, not just the 5, because you are doing it with the positive reasons. You will be putting your efforts. You have a good team players. You should be expecting a growth for the company. So probably 70% of the time I've seen that you need when you move to a place, probably 1 year down the line, people need another place as well. And then they regret why I haven't gone for something else. So think about expansion, transportation expense, accessibility. If you have wanted to work, like I've listened to some of the conversation, and few people say that they want people, their team to be in one place and kind of thing. Then in that case is probably you need to make sure that whomsoever, like whatever location you are choosing, irrespective of whether it's an expensive or not, probably it is accessible for your staff member rather than how convenient it is for you yourself. Another modern way of doing it is the remote team, which is very cost effective, and being an agent, like if you are just transiting from freelancing to the agency model, I would rather recommend the remote team, which only requires a monitoring, or maybe I would say a review meetings, maybe once in a day, 10 minutes or 15 minutes of stand-up meetings with the team who is working remote, probably that will do. So in that case, you have 3 different options. Either you can have an onshore remote team, which is within the US, right? And that is like, is just a different time zone, which is like, somebody is in Texas, somebody is in Minneapolis, or somebody is in California, kind of thing. And then probably you just need to adjust 1 hour. So that's one way of doing it. And you might have to do this for certain services, which I'm going to explain in the later. And then nearshore is another option. There are people who wanted to work with the remote team, but they wanted to visit them maybe once in a month, right? So if you have something like, in Mexico or maybe Canada or something like that, if you have a nearshore team there, probably you can go out there, meet with them maybe on a monthly basis, and you can do it. And then the third and the most cost effective is the offshore way of doing it, where there are not only the cost effectiveness, but there are companies that I know that using this time zone as their advantage. So what they tell to their customer is that we are 24-hour up and running. So when you guys are working, probably we are there back in India, are sleeping, but when you are sleeping, we are working. So people are using to that advantage, and they tell to their client that this is our offshore development facility where you get a 24-hour support. So anything that goes down, probably you need to not to tell the client that I can do this tomorrow, or maybe something like that. So people are using that as well. So that is another way of doing it. And there are ways to find these remote teams that you wanted to work with as an agency owner. And it's like, you can always, one of the biggest mistake that people does, working with the offshore team or maybe nearshore team or maybe an onshore team, is that they don't do the due required diligence for identifying the team that is right for them. So there are ways they will be asking for, some of the works that they might have done for their in past. But I would recommend that always try to speak to somebody whom they have served. So always ask for the, maybe referrals that, we can go out and speak to them, and probably then you can speak who is from your own country and you ask about their experience with them. So always go ahead and request that, and probably you can find the right team. If you decide to, let's say, I wanted to start hiring people, I think only thing that you should be worrying about as an agency owner is the 6-month cash in your bank, because you are not going to have work for them from day one, and probably you will be paying the bills or maybe salaries from your own bank account, and then probably they will start producing a work for you, and then it would be helpful. So all thing that you need is that a 6-month cash in your bank account, and maybe hire the professional, not just the experience. A lot of the people that think that if somebody is experienced, probably we can hire him, but the thing is that there is a zero potential in terms of, we wanted to change them in our own agency model life or something like that. So I, being an agency owner, always look for a person to have a potential to grow in terms of technically, because with the Google, a lot of code is very bit available. You can probably do the things and kind of thing. You can learn about it, but it is very hard to change the people's mindset. So I would rather say, when you hire people, make sure that you just not focus on the experience. Obviously, if you get an experience with that potential, that's fine, but the priority is the different. Every first occasion in your agency life. So there will be, you have a team of around 15, 20 people now, and being as a team, you will be achieving certain things. And every first occasion you should, let's say, a mobile app developed, that is the first mobile app developed within the company, probably you should be, celebrating that as well. And apart from this, let's say a first add-on that you might have launched on maybe a platform, like you should be celebrating that as well. So every first thing within the organization should be acknowledged and kind of thing. Then it comes to the celebrating the days, which actually improves the bonding. So it's like, a mentor day, for example, once in a year, that you tell thank you to the people within the organization that has actually taught you the right way of doing it. And it comes to take your pet day to a work. So I was having an interesting conversation with some of the people here that they have snakes as an, snake as an pets, and they can bring that to the office as well. So I can imagine probably how the situation will be because there will be dogs and snakes and cat around, and whether actually people would be working on that day. But it's really a fun. But all I'm saying is that you trying to tell your employees that you also value their family members as well. Apart from this, celebrate the thank you to the team. For an example, any tight deadline projects which we might have finished within the same team without adding more people, working a little bit extra hours, making sure that client is happy, and kind of thing. So you should be celebrating and doing those thank yous, and make sure that your team is acknowledging that we are also equally appreciate the fact about it. So celebration is one of the things which is very much important, apart from the, maybe any weekend celebrations that we do, which is a very informal ones. But there are formal celebrations which is also required to get a recognition within the team as well. And then it comes to the human resource part, because when you are running an agency, probably you should be having like around 15, 20 people. You should be having someone who is making sure that you are having your staff trained on maybe month-to-month basis. So it's not about training the interns that you hire or maybe the freshers, but maybe any new technology that comes out, probably you would love to have your staff getting a trainings on that, whether it's an online one or maybe an in-person, or you call an expert from the industry. But that is very important, because that keeps employees motivated as well, that they are actually getting and learning from the organization. And always ask for the satisfaction. Maybe we haven't practiced that, every 6 months, not just at the time of review period, but let's say if they have a 1-year review period, within the 1-year review period, maybe there are 1 or 2 occasions that they will be talking to the management and, talking about what kind of changes that they want in terms of work that we are doing, or maybe the environment that we have created for them, or the workplace or kind of thing. So I think having an employee satisfaction reduces the turnover, like employee turnover ratio within the organization. And probably that is something which we should be, focusing on it. There should be some non-compulsory improvement program within the organization as well. So let's say you have 20 people. So we have a very interesting concept back in India in our company, which we say is that Thirsty Thursdays. So it's like, our normally working hours like 10 to 7, but we have a voluntary program where we have asked people to register for that. And it is early morning 8 to 10, and it's involuntary, not compulsory. But the thing is that the one person should be responsible for identifying one topic, doing a proper research on that, prepare a presentation, and present it to the group of people. So what happens in our daily life is that we are not having a time to learn the new things around us in the technology. So what we do is that we take a topic which is from our industry itself, and one person will do the research and share it with the group of people. And that way, not only their presentation skills or maybe their research skills improves, but it also adds a value to the rest of the team member as well, that somebody has taken a time and you do this maybe once in a month, and so your turn comes maybe 3 months, one time in 3 months. So probably you can do it as well. So this concepts like Thursday, and it could be anything which you can think about, but this is something which we have been doing this for almost 9 months now, and we found a lot of interest. When we started, it was like only 3 people out of 140 we have, right? And it was like out of 3, 2 were the co-founders. So right now it's like we have around 12 people who actually understands the value of it and kind of thing. But we started it and it worked out well. Okay, then it comes to the sales and marketing. I think this is one of the most important thing for any freelancer who wanted to be an agent, get into the agency life, and they need to be focused on how to sell these things so that probably they can get more work. And I would say try to focus on niche. That's the best way you can do it, because you are an individual and probably you can't do everything yourself. So when you are starting, probably you need to focus on this. So for us, like I said, 10 years back, when we were around like 20, 25 people, ExpressionEngine was the niche market that we were, because hardly there is any Indian company who works in an ExpressionEngine. If you Google about it and say Indian developers in ExpressionEngine, probably you will find maybe 2 or 3 big companies. And even though you actually don't know whether they have the ExpressionEngine developers, right? So it was a niche for us. So that's the reason why some of the industry, like from US, has worked with us in past, and we have like grow our agency, and they have allowed us to build the retainer business model, because they were working full time, which was allowing me to pay my bills and not to worry about it. So I would say focus on the niche, and probably that way you can be good as well. And then probably you can select, based on the niche that you selected, you can always target your, like find the target audience that you wanted to get into touch with, and probably that's where you can go it. Use the content marketing as a tool. Probably we already have like really good sessions on the digital marketing and all, but nowadays, whether we are into the digital marketing or we are not, content marketing is something which we cannot accept from. So there is an interesting way. We have all heard about the Moz, right? How many people has heard about Moz? Moz.com, right? Yeah. So they have done a very intelligent thing. When they started, it was like an SEO Moz, and what they did is that they start writing up content about the digital marketing, the search engine optimization, and the Google AdWords and everything. And they have built the loyal audience around it. So for the 2 years, 3 years, they were just doing nothing except producing a really high quality articles, which are like 10 or 15 page articles with some statistics and everything. And then what they did is that they launched the product around it, and now they have their own tool. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so they have their own tool that actually they have to start selling. So they do not have to worry about it, right, to find their audience who will be interested in buying their tool for the digital marketing. So a lot of companies has a startup ideas, and then those startup ideas, probably they build the entire product, and then they start thinking about the content marketing. But rather like thinking about the sales, the modern way of doing it is that start doing the content marketing around the product that you have in mind. So in our case, it's a service that we are selling. So there is no way other than contributing and selling the things in the way that you help people solving their problem rather than what you want to sell them. So just focus on solving problem people's and write an articles, publish it on various, it's not just the article, it's a lot of things like videos and infographics and everything. So you have to build and distribute these different content all over the platforms as well. And then it's going to the part of because we are into the B2B industry, it's always helpful. So I've been to a lot of networking events. Maybe I usually make sure that I attend maybe 4 or 5 different networking events in an entire year. And probably that's where you make a really good connections, and you try and maybe, utilize the services that you are really good at. So I think that is another way of, that you can build your sales and marketing team. Apart from this, I think another way for you is to build even a small free product so that you can actually understand who are using this, and then probably you can try and reach out and say that if they need any help around that solution that you might have created. So always try to create or build something for free and give it to the people so that they use it, and then probably you ask for their contact details or maybe minimum thing, and then probably your sales team can reach out and do the things. One of the things that I forgot to add into this slide, but it is like that when you hire a salespeople, the common mistake that we do is that we only hire one person, because to keep the cost down. I would rather be smart and hire 2 part-time salespeople over one full-time salespeople. The reason is that sales is all about competition and motivation. And if you have only one person doing a sales for you, probably he end up giving you reasons when they don't achieve the sales target. But if you have 2 people, one person is achieving, you can always show them, right? So being an agency owner, I would rather hire 2 part-time sales people rather than hiring one, or probably in the ideal world go for a full-time one, because when it comes to part-time, probably the dedication towards the work is also a part-time. So go for a full-time and probably try and give them an environment where there is a competition, and then probably you help them achieving their target. It's not just that you tell them I need a business like this, and then probably you sit back and relax, and at the end of the month you see what are the numbers. It's like you need to work with them, you need to be on a sales call and probably help them closing those deals as well. So the last part, which I think I was talking to somebody about, what are the challenges being an agency owner that I personally facing, is that obviously we have the SOPs for each and every department within the agency. So it's a sales process or prospecting, whether it's a human resource thing or quality control or operations or scoping the work or anything. We have a standard processes that we have defined, and that processes probably help with, because you don't have a time to talk to everybody, but if they have an access to these standard operating processes, probably they will always look at it and probably make sure that they take their right decisions when they need it. So having an SOP for every department in an agency is very must, and then you should have some sort of connecting systems, like you might be using the CRM, you have your own billing system, you have a project management tool as well, but these different tools, if they don't talk to each other, it doesn't give the right information being an agency owner. So what are the challenges that we are working right now is that we are trying to connect all of these systems so that it gives us a meaningful insight, meaningful data as well. And then you should be having a mechanism and a system in place where you can find out the operational efficiency as well. A lot of time we talk about things taking more and eating the revenue and the net profit for the company, but there are many times you see that there are things that are not discussed within the team. Somebody who might be knowing something has not shared something. So you should be making sure that you have a system in place where you are tracking the time, and not just to questioning your employees, but it is just to see that whatever we are doing right now is the most efficient way of doing it, or can we have some code that we can reproduce, or is there something where we can probably introduce a more experienced people for us doing a more complex task, and maybe less experienced people doing maybe a basic stuff, anything that you can think about. But it is very important, being a business owner, that you should have some sort of track about where the time goes in the project. And if that has to be reviewed, not for every project, but maybe once in a 3 month, probably what we do is that we select one project which has like more number of team member and has a more number of features and functions that needs to be achieved, and then we call all the team members, and it's all constructive feedback. It's not like pointing the fingers and only identify the problems with the project, but it's also about learning what went well for this particular project, which can be carried over to the next as well. So having said that, I think moving to the next slide is none of us is as smart as is all of us, which means that if you create an agency, if you hire more people, if you are smart enough, you are hiring more smart people, that makes a really good business for the client as well as for yourself as well. And having said that, being an agency owner, I is the least important thing, and that's why I kept my introduction at the last, because I'm the one who is nothing. It's my company or my team is the best thing. But anyways, you always wanted to know a little bit about the people that you are listening to. So myself, Kandarp Bhatt, founder and CEO of a company called Zealous Web, and which is based out in India. And I used to be a part of a lot of networking events. I got a chance to speak at the WordCamp event, which we host back in India, which is around like 900 attendees in my city. I also got a chance to speak concept called Barcamp in Los Angeles last year. And then I have like 17 years of experience into the web, mobile application development, and digital marketing service agency. I have been running that. As far as my education is concerned, I'm a science graduate. I'm not sure why I have done that, but that was my parents' wish. And then I found my interest into the IT, and I did my computer engineering. I have done the course for that. And then I did my master's into the international business. That's where, when I started my agency, so I was like doing a part-time course on that, but I took my master's into that as well. It's difficult to say I'm the youngest at the age of 40, but I'm the youngest child of my parents. I have one elder sister. I'm a husband of a beautiful wife. Wives are always beautiful. And a father of 2 kids. You see the Matt's t-shirt. I don't play a baseball back in India. One of my clients is a baseball lover, and he's from New York. He gave me this, but I play a sport which is similar to the baseball, which is like a cricket. So I keep the wickets, which is a catcher in your baseball, and then I am a part-time baller as well, batsman and baller. So this is all about me, and I think that's it. If you have any questions, otherwise, thank you.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating journey that you laid out. How were the first 3 to 5 years, like, as you were going through the journey? Like, how did you what were the feelings as an agency owner? Just, did you have doubts? Could you just share the mindset that you had then?
Good. So being an agency owner, it's like, we talked about, what are the other flexibility that you get being an agency owner. For the first 3 months, it was like I was doubling the work being in freelancing. So I was like working 8 hours being an agency owner. For the first 3 years, I spent around 14 to 16 hours in the office itself, right? So I was actually taking a more pressure, but that was for the long-term vision that I had, because I was knowing that one day when I have all this system and people in place, probably I can take myself off from this. So yes, the first 3 years are always, and probably you have an external pressure about, paying to somebody as well, which I was not having previously. So it was, I need to take care of their luxury lifestyle. I need to take care of, their preferences as well. So I found myself pretty much involved into the sales process. Earlier I was doing like 70% of the programming work myself and 30% of sales, because I don't need to find a lot of work to do it for me. 1 or 2 clients that I used to work was sufficient for keeping me busy. But then now I became an agency owner. The first thing that I started was with the sales thing. So I was like, it was completely reversed. Like, I was trying to do more often sales, and then probably whomsoever I employed, probably I was finding the work for them as well. So typically it was like in a night time when everybody is sleeping, I was doing in sales work, which was working well because I usually had a client from US. So that was the story for me. And then from the daytime when I see people around me, I try to solve their problem or give them a training or kind of thing. So I used a different time zone, but there were days where I slept in the office. But that's something that you are prepared for. You are not prepared for next 3 years. We are talking about 20 years down the line. And if you wanted to see somewhere, probably you need to take this pain. Any other question?
So 140 people is quite a lot of people to manage.
Not in India.
Okay. Not in India.
Yeah.
How do you find the talented people with the potential?
Okay, so this is good thing, which I suggested to hire a CPA for doing your accounting and all stuff, but I haven't suggested to hire a recruitment firm for recruiting the people, because most of the recruitment that I do is that by talking to the people. It's not like, I call them, like my HR team that will call them and ask for the interview or something. I will network with the people. If I find a really good potential back in India from the people, I see that what you do, and if they are looking for a change or something, probably I can do it. So I meet with people first rather than just kind of thing. So I meet, build the relationship. I'm kind of that person. So I would say right now we have like around 10 different project managers who are literally a department head who is heading like around 10 people under them. So it's like very distributed. So you can't reach to everyone. So all I can do is that I can talk to those people once in a week and ask about their department problems, projects, and everything. So you need to go out, meet with people, and recruitment agency won't know the culture of the company. They know which skills you need and what experience you have and what the budget that you have. That's the only thing that they can find. But the kind of people that you are looking for, the culture thing, I think you are the only one who can probably get involved into. Yeah.
What's the ratio of your business in terms of inside India versus US and other places?
We are mostly outside of India. So we work with agencies in US, UK, and other parts of Europe. Any other questions? Yeah. Anyways, thank you.